Would you lead us in the flag salute?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sunshine Law Statement, all requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been met for this meeting of the Board of Education of the Borough of Oradell. Notice of this meeting was filed with the Record and Town News and all persons requesting such notice. Mr. Darian, would you read the mission statement?
The Oradell Public School District is dedicated to the ongoing pursuit of educational excellence through the comprehensive, innovative curriculum and instruction. The district is committed to providing opportunities for social, emotional, and academic discovery to foster curiosity, courage, and character. Our goal is to prepare our students to become lifelong learners who are self-directed, resilient, productive, responsible citizens.
Thank you. Roll call.
On the roll, Ms. Acosta is not here. Mrs. Nigam?
Here.
Mrs. Downey?
Here.
Mr. Griffin?
Here.
Mrs. Norian?
Here.
Mrs. Walker?
Here.
Mr. Walsh?
Here.
Mr. Darian?
Here.
Mrs. Nichols?
Here. Open to the public for agenda items only. Okay, moving forward, I'll just pass this around. This is just a thank you note from the OAA for the ice cream, I guess, treat today. Ms. Bozios and the board went in on it. And we will, did I want to do something else? I can't remember. I think I wanted to say something else. I can't remember. So we'll go to the superintendent's report.
Good evening. I almost said good morning because I feel like since 8:40 this morning, no one has stopped. The first day of school is always like a whirlwind. Everyone's moving, and when you're moving on top of it in 90-degree heat, when we're just not used to 90-degree heat, it feels like a lot. But it does reaffirm the decision to continually have a minimum day on the first day of school, because it also allowed our teachers to, after students dismissed, to do some additional professional development, and it's after they've met their kids and their classroom set up, and they, as a result, are even more ready and eager, especially when it happens in this room. I could probably rent this room out to some staff members soon. But I did want to take a few minutes to review summer 2023 with you, because some of you have been in the building, some of you haven't been in the building, and so much goes on, as I've said before, during the summer. So I did want to start with facilities updates, and as we've talked about in the past, we had a mammoth summer of facilities projects. The gym, which is beautiful, and what it originally looked like in terms of the floor was sanded, painted, and refinished. 4 of our stairwells have been renovated, the walls have been painted, and you will notice that there are visual impairment strips on all those stairwells, and that will be what happens on the 4 remaining stairwells this summer. But this also means that Mr. Iapelli will not get the exciting task that Mr. Mamora had of helping me put yellow tape down on the steps. Our NPR has been painted. We are still waiting for clarification on the painting of the dividers. You can't fully paint your dividers because it changes the weight of them, and it makes them not up to code. So we've just reached out and said, could we paint one panel? So at least when it's closed, you don't still see that yellow color. We've also added 4 paver patios to outside the auditorium, and you'll see them here. And eventually there will be a bench or benches on them to help families while they're picking up or dropping off in the morning. And sometimes it's the little things that make the hugest difference. I've never gotten so many thank yous for some pavers and 5 tables outside. Teachers are incredibly excited to take their class out, and frankly, teachers are already eating out there as well. Yeah. So we have one final part of that project to complete. That back door there that you can see into the building will have a card swipe put on it. So if students are going outside with their teacher to use it, they don't have to walk anywhere near the parking lot. Again, small projects sometimes make huge difference. You probably haven't noticed that there is a new antenna on the building. That new antenna is for our walkie-talkie system. We have completely revamped our two-way radios, adding several radios for safety. So now our PE teachers have their own radio. So whenever they're outside, they're in full communication with the building. Our lunch aides have radios. Every member of our administrative team or custodians also have new radios. And the wall. We really can't talk about the summer without talking about the wall. Mr. Iapelli and I are probably going to miss the 4 walks we took every day while they were working on the wall in fear that they weren't going to be done with the wall. But it is a huge improvement in that area, not just from a safety perspective, that it's actually retaining what it needs to retain, but I think it's a visual improvement as well. So the STEAM lab has officially been moved. The new furniture is not in yet. I asked Mrs. Cataldo if she wanted furniture I had, and she said, no, we're going to work on the floor. We're going to make this work. She has some really exciting ideas. On that blue wall will be a marble run that students can actually move on the wall. She also has a dream of they have it at the Liberty Science Center, a life-size light bright. I said, let's start with the marble run. We'll work on the light bright next. That new sink has been installed in that room as well. And the other piece I really love about this room is there is a locked storage closet in the back of it. And this summer, we became the proud owners of several Lego robotics kits. So now all of our Ozobots, our Lego robotics, all have a nice place to be stored where we know that they are at any point in time if a teacher wants to take them out. We've added signage throughout the building. It visually just makes the hallways look nice, but it is also a safety thing. If the police came in because of an emergency, they can visually see down the hallway and see which classrooms are where at any point in time. And we are also in the process of adding wayfinder signs, because if you've ever watched a parent try to find the NPR the first time they hand out pizza, it's quite the task. So we have some signs that will help direct them to that as well. And the stuff that you never really see, that is a new bottle filler that was added specifically for our kindergartners so that they don't have to walk all the way through the school. And this is one small piece of, I would say, 2.5 hallways of hot water piping. Last year, at the end of the year, numerous times we had to shut off our water at times because we had leaks, and all of that piping has been replaced now. So we are very excited about that as well. Now, the building is not the only thing that happens during the summer. We have continued to revise existing curriculum. As I shared with the curriculum committee today, when we have a curricular document, we have the PDF form we put on the website, but we also have a working form that our teachers use. So for example, what was happening in social studies, our 5th grade teachers were saying, there's too much in 5th grade. So what we did this summer is we took the feedback from our 5th grade teachers and we moved some of the standards. They're not historical standards, they're civic standards and economic standards to 3rd and 4th grade. We've also, as we've been talking about a lot, added computer science and design thinking standards as required by law. Now we've done that in 2 different ways. So we've done that within existing units. So where does computer science and design fit in this art unit, this music unit? We also have a 142-page STEAM integration curriculum document that documents the big unit that's happening in every grade level. And 2 of the projects that I'm really excited about, which in terms of the cross-content ones, is the 4th grade jingle project. Our 4th graders will be identifying a product that would make a change in a certain part of the world, and then creating the jingle and the commercial for it. And in 5th grade, if you saw in our newsletter on the back page, there is a picture of a 5th grade student, and it says, what is Area 51? That was part of his journalism unit. So he researched the topic, he wrote about the topic, and then he also filmed a newscast about the topic as well. So that is a STEAM integration within the language arts curriculum. In 6th grade, we've added a new digital photography unit. And again, this has to do with the fact that we are and should have media standards So that's happening in 6th grade art, and it is something that was co-designed with River Edge. So River Edge was doing some professional development. They said, are you interested in being part of this? And it's a unit that they wrote together. We have bulked up the dance into our music curriculum. We had a lot of dance in PE. Dance is a required standard that needs to be embedded in our curriculum. And outside of documented curriculum, it's what are we doing? So we were very excited to be one of 8 districts in the state of New Jersey to be accepted into the Early Learning Network Improvement Community, or ELNIC, as it's called. We will be partnering with 8 districts in Vermont. Our teachers will be paid to attend professional development. We specifically will be working in the math cohort, and that specific professional development is on the improvement cycle, using data. How are you using data to make next decisions? And their focus really is how are you using small group instruction during the school day to do that. And the OrCam pilot program is either going to be a huge success or a complete bust. OrCam is a digital device that when you hold it over any text, it will read that text to you. It will read that text to you in English. It will read that text to you in 20 other languages, I think they're up to. It will also collect, if you're reading, it will collect your fluency data and send it to a data platform for your teacher to see. And it will actually also ask you questions about what you read. Now, they're really looking for more schools to try it out, so they were willing to give us a pilot. When they come, we'll either learn it's incredibly glitchy and they've overpromised, or it will be something that will really be a tool, especially for our multilingual learners or students who may have some reading, decoding struggles in the upper grades with content area text. So we are piloting it specifically with 7 fourth graders, and we chose a very small pilot where we can, professional development is included for the teacher. So we knew that it was manageable and we could really keep an eye on it. One of our administrators has taken this on as their professional goal this year to see how the device works. Every time I watch the video, it looks so interesting. And I just, again, until I see the technology at work, I don't know if it's an overpromise. We also have made some strides towards some of our district goals. So with regards to enhancing the partnership between home and school, you will notice that we did add the Google Calendar to the front page. And this allows parents to just subscribe to it, and it shows up in their calendars as well. We've even started to put the letter of the day there to try to put as much in one space so you're not looking in 3 different spots instead. We do have a refresh of the district website in progress. She was ready to go live. I said, let's not go live on the first day of school. There is one actually other part of that that I'm really hoping is going to solve a lot of struggles. When you go to the website, there's always a topic. You know, it might be the YWCA. That it's there, but you kind of need to know where it is, okay? So one of the buttons we've added on the new website is a quick links. It'll be an alphabetical listing of all the greatest hits, the things people keep calling us about, like where's the calendar? It's on the front page of the website. It's in another link, but we're going to put it in one more spot. But the YWCA was one that just came up that someone couldn't find it. I know it's in 2 spots, but maybe having one spot that's alphabetical, that if you're looking for something, this is a quick way to get to it, will help. We have also purchased the Remind platform. It will be used district-wide, and our administrative team has received PD on that platform. And we have shared that this is a district and school goal with our teachers during our opening faculty meeting, and started to talk about what is that going to look like and what is the expectation. As a reminder, the reason we are purchasing Remind, which a teacher can actually use for free, is because the administrative team will be able to see every communication that goes out, and we'll know if communication is not going out as well. And in terms of fostering creativity and student engagement, we will continue to work with IDE this year. We have scheduled an in-person professional development on January 15th, but we also launched with our staff during our professional development day asynchronous. So if you think of this as a flipped classroom, our teachers will be required to do certain asynchronous videos prior to when IDE comes in on January 15th. And that will be specifically on, we've talked about questioning in the past, but also making sure that students have choice in what they're creating in the classroom and what they're doing in the classroom, and that our teachers are addressing different types of learners. And that's a little bit where that creativity piece comes in. I want to make sure that all kids have an outlet when they're learning. And this is our other goal, and this is just some of the work we've done. We have analyzed our data, and as I shared in the board update, Linkit has produced our fingertip files, which gives a teacher access to all data from the year before on a student. So their Linkit Form C results, their DIBELS results, their their TC reading level results, their NJSLA scores, if they have them as well. The one area that we'll be adding to there and we are looking for is a way to collect and document additional math data, which may also happen. As you know, we've been using Dreambox for 2 years. Dreambox has added another component. And it used to be that you had to use Dreambox for like 2 weeks for a teacher to actually know this is kind of what you know, this is what you need to know. They have created a new diagnostic assessment tool. It's called Launchpad. It comes with the product, but it's a quicker way for a teacher to get the data of this is what this child knows and this is what this child needs to work on. We have scheduled professional development with Dennis Sheeran, and he will continue to work on the same thing Elnick will work on, but he will work on it with all grades, on how are we using small group instruction and personalized teaching during our math workshops. We continue to do professional development in multilingual learners, and as I spoke about Elnick before, but it also approaches this goal. So that's about the summer. It's just begun. It's always really exciting to welcome teachers back to a new year, but it's even more exciting when students come back. So today was a great day for me. Thank you to Rita for welcoming our staff on behalf of the board at Convocation. I don't know about you, but I love the feel in this room. Convocation is when all our teachers who haven't seen each other since June are in this room, and there's a palpable energy to it. So as you know, I am incredibly excited for the year. Do you have any questions?
I have a question. How do we get chosen for Elnick? Do we have to apply to it? Do we know how many applied? Like, what was the criteria?
We applied to the state, and at first we were told we weren't in. So I don't know how many people, I just know that we were told no, and there was this moment that Mrs. Brancato and I went, okay, maybe we didn't need one more thing, and then a week later, somebody must have backed out, and we were told, you are in. There is one other Bergen County district involved in it. It's Northvale, which is kind of great for us because Northvale's similar to us in terms of being a one-school district. And they, I think, are also in the math cohort. So that might also lend itself to some crosswork with them.
On the OrCam pilot, I know you mentioned that you were doing it for one grade for a few kids. Is there any opportunity at this point to maybe consider expanding to a couple of other grades for the pilot? Just to maybe pull in some younger readers to see if it has a different effect on younger readers than the fourth graders.
I think they would absolutely jump at us doing it. I just want the devices in hand first, because if they're super glitchy, I don't want to spread it.
Right.
Again, the video looks amazing. But I want to touch it and know and try it and know that it works. But I actually, when I first saw it, there was actually some fifth graders I had in mind. When the intervention team looked at it, they kind of thought fourth grade, but I absolutely could see, especially for exposure to text and kind of doing what Read Aloud does, it for younger readers as well.
Can we get a demonstration of the OrCam?
Yes. As soon as we have them in hand, the professional development is free. We have to pay $100 per device for a 6 month. We're leasing the device for $100, which is very reasonable. And with that $100 lease, you get the whole digital platform. So we've processed the purchase order. We just don't have them in hand yet. But when they do, yes.
How much are they to buy if you go with it?
You actually don't have to buy. You can continue to lease, which is always a better option because if the device gets updated, you don't have the old version. If you go on Amazon, it was several $1,000s.
How much to lease going forward?
I honestly don't know.
Any other questions?
I have a question. The rollout for Remind, is that going to happen shortly?
Yeah. We thought long and hard about whether or not we were going to take on Remind, or whether we were just going to say to staff, you must communicate with parents X number of times a year. So it's going to, but I need to launch it. Our admin team has it. We're going to launch it with our teachers, and then we'll roll it out to our parents as well. The other piece that we are looking to do with our parent community is we have been talking to upper grade teachers that parents should be able to join Google Classrooms too. So we will be doing a professional development on that for parents, like how do you join so you can watch and see what's happening as well.
Thank you.
Anything else? Ms. Bozius, anything else?
Yeah. No.
Business Administrator's Report, Mr. Iapelli.
Yeah, once again, I'd just like to thank Mr. Cusack and the custodial staff for getting the school ready and cleaned, and they did an incredible job. There was a lot to do. They took on more than they probably ever have. We didn't outsource the painting of the NPR. We were able to paint that in-house. So I just want to thank them for the effort they gave, which was tremendous.
Thank you. Moving on to minutes, we have review of August 16th. Any questions or comments, please email Mr. Iapelli. Approval of July 26th. Do I have a motion?
Approve the minutes of July 26th.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Walker. Any questions? Call the question.
On the roll, Mrs. Acosta.
Yes. Abstain.
Mrs. Downing.
Yeah.
Abstain?
Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
Mr. Walsh.
Yes.
Mr. Darian.
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols.
Yes.
Don't forget me.
Oh,
Oh,
Mrs. Norton.
Mrs. Who did I miss? Mrs. Norrie?
Yes,
Oop, sorry.
yes.
Committee reports, Buildings and Grounds, Mr. Darian.
Yes. I don't have much to say, actually, anymore, since our superintendent and business administrator has stole my thunder. But I just wanted to second our business administrator's comments about the building's condition. You know, I walked the grounds and the interior, and the building is super clean. I've never seen it this clean, ever. And, you know, I kind of feel bad. My kids have, you know, never experienced this. Yeah. You know, I tell them they're post-college now, and they couldn't care less. But it is very impressive, and I just wanted to, you know, second that. You know, not only did we have a lot of projects this summer, but they did a super good job of cleaning the building, getting it ready for this year. So with that, I'd like to introduce items B1 for facility use.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Walsh. Any questions? Mrs. Walker?
I just have one question on B1, under Oradell basketball, junior basketball, and Borough of Oradell. Why are we waiting to give them a price, facility charge? It's to be determined. Is there a reason?
I guess we're waiting to see exactly what days, or what the rate is? Is that why?
I'm not sure why. I have to get back to you and
Okay, it's just.
to see what was done last year. But there are many days that they are here. So I
Right.
really need to just review what was done last year.
Okay, and there'd be no increase then?
I'm not sure what the
Two.
numbers were.
For Oradell Junior Basketball, it'll be set on our facilities charge in our policy, and it'll be based on custodial rate and overtime. Borough of Oradell Rec Committee, Halloween party, that's also, I believe, in our policy, so that's kind of set. We just have to see if we're paying any custodians. I don't think so. They're still here till 9:30 normally, so there's no whatever. So it should just be in there. There shouldn't be no charges in our, it's in our
That
policy.
one wouldn't have a custodian.
No, because they're here till 9:30 anyway.
Right, right. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Call the question?
Mrs. Acosta?
Yes.
Mrs. Nigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Downey?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes?
Mrs. Norian?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes,
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Darian?
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols?
Yes, curriculum, Mrs. Negum?
We were able to meet earlier this evening and had obviously a bunch of topics that we ended up discussing, and some of it was also in the superintendent's presentation earlier. Having that said, I would like to present C1 and C2.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Walsh. Any questions? Call the question?
On the roll, Mrs. Acosta?
Yes.
Mrs. Nigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Downey?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes?
Mrs. Norian?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
yes,
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Darian?
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols?
Yes. Finance, technology, Mr. Griffin?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion for D1 through D8. You'll notice that D6 and D7 are the programs we talked about earlier, the Remind program, and also that ORCAM pilot program that are included in this.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Walsh. Any questions? Call the question?
Mrs. Acosta?
Yes.
Mrs. Nigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Downey?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes?
Mrs. Norian?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
yes,
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Darian?
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols?
Yes. I think we're out of order on this one, but I guess I'll go with it. Personnel, Mrs. Walker.
yes, I'd like to present, I'm sorry, what is it, C1? F1,
I'll second it.
Any questions? Mrs. Walker?
I have a question on A2. And then again, with Meredith Gleason, I'm not understanding, she's appointed on the certified position, and then she is also rescinding the appointment of the following staff. On A, what would that be? A7.
Not yet. Where's A7?
Why, it's on the back. So-
A7.
And it's a difference in salary. She
Yep.
she gets 57,132.
It's the, all right, go ahead.
Okay. We had a first grade, Mrs. Gleason was previously appointed as a leave replacement teacher for a first grade teacher. We then had a first grade teacher resign, so that left a tenure track position open. As often we do, we prefer to place somebody on a tenure track that's already been with us for a year. So Ms. Gleason was with us last year. To appoint her to the tenure track, I have to rescind the original appointment to the leave replacement. The difference in salary is a reflection of our policy. When someone is in a leave replacement, they can only be at step one.
Oh, okay, I remember, I think you had
However,
emailed
yes,
us
so
that
however,
one.
she does bring many more years of experience with her, so we gave her credit for those years.
Okay, and thank you, that clears that up. And then the other thing is, I see we appointed on C, I guess it's just C, under new hires, a lunch aide for $17 an hour. And a lunch monitor is, I guess, on B,
So the lunch monitors are our staff.
$15 an hour
It's per session, not per hour. That's per our contract?
per session.
Yeah.
Okay, you're right. And where is it? The other is per hour. Great.
I have a quick question on E, on the second page for the teachers that were chosen for the LNIC. How did we choose them? Did we post? Are these the only people that applied? How many do we need?
We could apply with just one teacher. It does require teachers to work from 3:30 to 5 numerous times. So we posted, and these were the 3 people that were eager to be part of the program, and then they will be our teacher leaders moving forward for it.
Dorothy.
Mr. Walsh. Oh, Mr. Griffin.
Oh, yeah. The teacher that is resigning, is this something you can comment on more in public, or would this be a closed session question?
Technically, it's closed session, but the superintendent says she's fine with it.
She would be fine because she was quite sad to leave the community. She recently relocated to Middletown. You can't commute here from Middletown every day, especially in the May and June. It did her in, and she realized it was time.
She's an exceptional teacher. It was really, my kid had it, and just exceptional. So a big loss to the community, it seems.
I don't know these other teachers. I'm going back to the question I was asking on the 3 that are doing the LNIC. I don't know the other 2. Well, I know this one is, I know one is kind of brand new to our tenure track. Do we care that we have non-tenured?
She also brings 6 years of experience.
I know, but
So-
she's not tenured. I know. Do we have other people that applied?
No, these were as I said, you had to be ready to commit to working from 3:30 to 5, once to twice a week, and not all staff members have that ability.
Okay, any other questions? Call the question.
On the roll, Mrs. Acosta,
Yes.
Mrs. Nyers,
Yes.
Mrs. Downey,
Yes.
Mr. Griffith,
Yes.
Mrs. Norian,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
Mr. Walsh,
Yes.
Mr. Darian,
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols.
Yes, delegate report, Mr. Walsh.
I have nothing to report.
Policy, Mrs. Norian.
Actually, all that I'd like to report is that we do need to have a meeting because we've kind of left some things undone. And I think as soon as possible, we need to schedule a meeting. So if the members of the committee can let me know your availability, and we can work with Ms. Bozios on setting up a time.
We should have one this month.
As soon as possible. Okay?
Public relations, Mrs. Acosta.
I have nothing to report.
Open to the public. Moving forward, any old or new business for the board?
I have some old business.
Mr. Griffin? I mean, Mr. Darian? Sorry, I just called.
Yeah, with the resurgence of COVID, seems like everyone seems to be getting it lately. Maybe we should consider having a COVID task force. What do you think, Mr. Chairman? Would you like to arrange for us to get together, maybe on a call or something, so we can just discuss what we should or maybe should not do?
I'll meet with you. It's fine. Yeah, sure, we can meet. Happy to meet.
At the Oak House.
And I have some new business. So the county school boards is meeting on October 3rd here in Paramus. So we don't have to travel very far. It's at, for Biagio's? Biagio's? It's October 3rd, 6 p.m. And they'll be talking about legislative topics that impact school districts. And those are always interesting because, you know, they usually pick one or two that piques our interest. So since it's so close, I think we should go. It would be nice to get a presence. I can't stand it when, you know, they have the big tables with 10 people on there, and there's only one or two of us, you know? We kind of have to get adopted by some other school board, so it would be nice. Thanks.
I'd love
So we need, oh, I'm sorry. So if we want to go to that, we have to report through
Mr.
Peter,
Iapelli,
right?
can you send us an email with the info on it so we can respond to it?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Have they not sent, just curiosity, since I'm part of that, have they not sent out an email
Didn't see it.
all of us have seen?
I didn't see it. I don't know. We like our
Because
board secretary to
okay.
email us and
Okay.
take care of it.
I think Greg's special, so he gets it first.
No, I got the email. I deleted
got
it,
the
so I have to find it again. But
But I thought, because I,
Any other older new business? Mrs. Walker?
Just a quick aside to say how much I enjoyed being here on opening day for the teachers and the convocation. Ms. Sposio certainly had a well-attended audience with all the teachers. They were very responsive, as she alluded to, and she was very interactive and modeled a lot of the behavior that we're hoping to see even more of with our teachers. So it made me feel very proud to be part of this district. So kudos to everyone.
Thanks for speaking to them. Any other older new business? I finally remembered my president's report. I had 3 things and they totally blanked. So the first one is we are going through CUSAC. We need to put at least 1 board member on the committee. Catherine, you have done it in the past. So, you know, if you're interested,
anybody else
reach
wants
out
to
to
do it,
me,
yeah.
like in the next few days, I guess, the next week soon. Let me know if you have at all interest. How much time does it involve? How many meetings?
I think I would have us compile all our documentation and then bring the board member in for maybe 1 meeting for curriculum and instruction, and the group we have with that to just review everything we'll be submitting and doing the statement of assurance on, and 1 for policy governance, fiscal responsibility.
I'd be happy to. I mean, but if anybody else wants to.
All right,
step
yeah,
up,
let
feel
us,
free.
let me know if anyone's interested, just email me.
I don't understand what the role of the board member would be as far as CUSAC goes.
It's made up of community members, so
Yes.
you want to explain the whole process?
Board policy states that certain people have to be on the committee because what we're submitting is a representation of the entire district. So a board member, a member from the OEA, chosen by the OEA, a member of the administrative staff, and we're just looking at all the documents that we'll be submitting, the evidence we'll be going over, we'll be making sure we agree, because what we'll need to do is if something is worth 2 points, we'll say to the committee, we think it's 2 points, here is the evidence, do you agree? Okay, that's what we'll then submit.
So the board member would be part of that entire committee for like 2 days, 3 days, however long.
So what I'm thinking is we would meet with the other individuals first, so the teachers and the administrators, and we would do the checklist as we think it is, and then when we would bring our board member in to say, what do you think? It says 2 points, we needed to show evidence of this, do you believe that we have shown that evidence? So I would think it would be 1 meeting for curriculum and program, and 1 meeting for finance, policy, personnel, governance.
Thank you.
Okay, then, if you remember at our retreat, we had talked about 2 board directions, 2 actions we wanted to move forward on this year. One was to send out a climate and culture survey. So I think we should start getting on that now. We would want to send it out in the beginning of the year, I would think. The first half, we don't want to wait till the end of the year, I'm assuming. We want to start working on it now. So I would say it's going to go through probably PR, right? But it'll be the whole board. So I would say as the start, everyone should start getting questions together, things you want to, topics, questions, subjects, start emailing Ms. Acosta, Ms. Bozius, and myself on 1 email, so we can start compiling it in 1 document. And then I'm assuming you're going to talk to the admin and see what you want to put on there, and then I think we have to start moving on it. Because if we don't get moving on it now, it's going to be the holidays, it's going to be January, February, we're not going to do it. So I think we need to start now. So if in the next week or two, people could start submitting things, then we can meet in PR. We can start taking, and we can go over several drafts of it if we have to. All right, so I think maybe we start on that. And the other part was, we were going to look at our committee structure. And, you know, what Matt Lee was saying is not really practical per se when it comes to boards in New Jersey, because, you know, when I asked him how many people had switched, he said 2 out of 600 districts. So we pretty much have the same committees as most boards, some combine some. But I think at the same time, in the next 2 weeks, start thinking about if you want to see a different committee structure, if you want to combine some, if you want another one. One thing I think I would like to reinstate in the past was we had a safety committee. It wasn't necessarily a full committee, but like a board member, a superintendent, they meet with the police chief. I think it might be something worthwhile reinstating. We could put it into a committee, but I think we should start thinking in the next 2 weeks. I mean, you can email me, bring it to the next meeting if you want to see something different, if you want to remove any of our committees combined. If you have any ideas, Ms. Bozios, that you would like to see. Because I think we have to start getting, we may not change anything, but it was something we said we were going to investigate, so I think we need to start. So any other old or new business?
I love the wall. I love that wall. What an improvement. That looks so cool. Are we going to get trees to grow up along where the basketball?
No, they're going to hide people, it's dangerous.
They're going to what?
We're having, we have ongoing discussions about aesthetics versus safety, right? So we have to go somewhere along that continuum.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and that project was on the list of things to do for at least 10 years, so it's nice to get it off the list.
I do want to
Mrs.
tell you
Noreen?
that as I walked around town, walking the dog, of course, there were young men that were riding around on their bicycles, and I heard one of them say, "Did you see what they did at OPS?" Which I thought was kind of neat, you know, that they noticed it before school, and they were talking about it amongst themselves, what a cool thing it was, so.
Any other old or new business?
I move that we go into closed session.
Yeah, for student issues, personnel issues, and legal issues, if you want to make it for that.
I'll second it.
I figured I'd move right in there and.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 I don't know, we should probably take a roll call on that. Okay, going into closed session 8:13, we will not be coming out to take any action.